Everybody have a good night today. Alright, and ain't this a beautiful occasion or what? I mean, we just had a show. And for those who don't know me, let me introduce myself real quick. My name is Tan, and I have known Ed for was it 20 years now? And it feels like just yesterday that he had that boa haircut. And right off the bat, I'd like to thank Ed real quick for bestowing upon me this honor of being his best man and allowing me to share this special day with him and his lovely bride, Rachel. And most importantly, for giving me this opportunity to embarrass him in front of all of his friends and families who have traveled far and wide to come to this special occasion. And as I look around the room, what I'm seeing is just a lot of history. There's just a lot of history here today, folks. I mean, I see friends that Ed has made since grade school, friends he has recently made, fellow brothers in arms, and the families, even the adopted ones. Speaking of which, since we are talking about history, for those of you who don't know, the history between Ed and I is actually quite comical. I mean, Ed and I, we go back. We go way back. And even though we both share some friends who we are tight with, Ed was like a twin brother I never had. I mean, ask his mom, ask my mom, everything we did together. Comic books. We did radio control cars. We did paper routes together. I worked at Carl's Jr. 2 weeks later, Ed worked at Carl's Jr. We were both in honor society. We both swam and played water polo in high school. And the list just goes on and on. And then, around graduation, I thought, you know what? It's time for a break. So, I decided to join the Marine Corps. You, the proud, the Marines. So I told Ed about it. He said, awesome, me too. So off we go to basic training. Now, Ed left shortly after graduation, and I left a couple months later. And it's rare to see a familiar face in basic. I mean, if anybody who served, you guys know just the chaos and everything, but somehow, some way, in a time before high-speed internet, texting, MySpace, and Facebook, we found each other. How? We went as far as pretending to be Buddhists, so we can go to Buddhist service to just hang out. Thank you. Next, Ed wanted to join Air Force Pararescue. PJs, the elite, the best of the best, the creme de creme. And he told me about it, and I said, awesome, me too. So off we go to training. And even though we were both on different teams, stationed on opposite sides of the country, we still ended up at war together. We spilled the same blood in the same mud. And we both swore to defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I knew that whatever path that we take, whether one of us would decide to be a nurse, a butcher, a baker, or a candlestick maker, we'd have each other's back. But through all these endeavors and adventures that we both shared, for Ed, something was missing. Then came Rachel. Rachel, you have centered Ed. I know Ed better than he knows himself, and you have given him something that I don't even think he knew was missing. You have given him hope, a soulmate, and most importantly, you have renewed his faith in love. Ed met Rachel during nursing school in the fall of 2006, year of our Lord. And at first, Rachel thought that Ed was too cocky, too arrogant, your typical alpha male. And Ed thought that Rachel was a brat. But the more they hung out, and the more time that they spent together, and the more that he talked to me, I'm like, I think Ed has finally met his match. And he would use these adjectives to describe her, such as hot, sweet, and awesome. And I'm like, are you talking about Rachel or Thai food? And then he said it. The L word. No, not lunch. Hang on. He says, T, I think, I go, what? I go, T, I think I love her. And from that day on, the wheels were in motion. So I flew down from Reno to meet Rachel, and over the last couple years of getting to know her better, I can now see why Ed has fallen head over heels for this special young lady. Besides being stunningly beautiful, Rachel, you are devoted, giving, kind, and best of all, feisty. Because we all know how stubborn Ed can get. And Rachel, you compliment Ed better than anybody. The way you two are when you guys are together, the way you look at each other, the sparkle in your eyes when you look at him, and the squint in his eyes when he looks at you. No, seriously, the connection that you two have renewed my faith in love. And for that, I thank you. Now, even though Ed and I have shared a ton of history together, it'll be up to Rachel and Ed to create new history for themselves. Now, I know that my title here is the best man, but in my honest and humble opinion, the best man that I know have just married one of the best women that I know. So, if all of you can raise your glass and join me in a toast. I'm almost done. To Mr. and Mrs. Ha. Congratulations. Alright, that's it.
That's all. Good job.
Ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Tan Sursai.
And I'll be at the Comedy Stop on Saturday night at 10:30. Thanks.